pits with Evan Green.
Our race analyst, John Sheppard, is a highly technical man, but it seems he's been delving into the realms of superstition. You've come up with some interesting facts, John.
It's really intriguing, Evan. We've got Peter Brock told me before, this is his 13th Bathurst, so he obviously thinks he's in a lot of trouble.
Well, he might lose out on the corner here, I think. The right-hander.
Look at this,
there's a definite touch. Bartlett's lost something.
Dearie me. They're attacking this like it's the Ovals at Talladega.
It's a flare off the Commodore, in fact, that came adrift there.
Heading down Conrod Straight at this stage, Peter Brock with the wood on them. In second place still Kevin Bartlett, and now it's Dick Johnson who ranges up behind Bartlett as they head down to the completion of another lap. Johnson was thinking about what Peter Brock did the lap before, but decides to tuck in and see if he can have a shot going back up the mountain one more time. Okay, oh, dearie me, Brock, I think has got problems, has he? He's pulled to the outside, and Brock is, I think, in trouble. Dick Johnson, who takes over the lead as Peter Brock, comes into the pit area, and certainly an unscheduled pit stop. Okay, he's now in.
And Brock in the pits. They're checking with the driver to see just what the trouble is. It's a back tyre. Peter taking some of the fruit juice there, speaking to Bruce Nowacki at the moment. I won't go near him, he's got a lot on his mind to such an early stop.
Up the top of the mountain, Dick Johnson leads from Bartlett. What a race of changes. YG Brock didn't rejoin the race at all. He's pulled off behind the pit row and he's gone back to the Marlborough Holden dealer team encampment. There he is. YG, this is a shock.
That now puts a ton of pressure on John Harvey and Vern Shupin. Whether or not that driving pairing will be split later in the day by Brock stepping into the car, we'll have to wait and see.
It looks like that bump between Kevin Bartlett and Peter Brock might have disastrous consequences for the Holden dealer team, because the word, John Sheppard, is that he has axle trouble.
Yes, by the look of the road here, Evan, when he pulled out of the pits, he's left one black mark, which would indicate he's got some problem in the rear axle, and we hear that it's actually broken the rear axle, but I'm not sure that the accident with Bartlett would have caused that, because it's driving on the right-hand wheel. I'm sorry, it's driving on the left-hand wheel, and he hit on the other side. So it's, Bob Jane was just telling me before, he found 7 5-cent pieces in the workshop one by one, so that's an omen. He's got them glued on the dash of the car, so it's really Superstitionville today.
Okay, troubles would it be for Kevin Bartlett? We'll wait and see. Yes, it looks like Kevin Bartlett is coming into the pit area. Our report is that he has a deflating left-hand front tyre. Let's just see how quickly the crew can get onto this job. That's going to put Johnson out in front with a comfortable edge over Bobby Morris at this stage. Okay, the crew, have jumped over one of the air jacks driving in. So Bartlett by this stage has overshot the pit area. This is precious time.
Kevin, can you spare us a moment? Very frantic times those early laps. Too hard, or does the car feel okay?
Fine. It's just a complete and utter amateur nincompoop got in the way and turned right, just turned straight across my path, put me straight into the fence, and I took him, mate. That guy has to be black flag. I'm going to punch him in the mouth when the race is over, and that's a fact.
Now, Kevin, you just walked up to the Ron Wanless pits. What message did you deliver up there? Because you look fairly belligerent.
Well, I went to find out who was driving it. I was going to punch the guy in the mouth. When I found out it was Ron Wanless, I thought I'd better back off a little. His next boxer, he might flatten me.
Well, Bob Jane, everyone knows Peter Brock's won the race 5 times, but this race, which had its origins 21 years ago in the Armstrong 500 of Phillip Island, has been won 4 times by people, including yourself. And today you might be in the role of being behind a winning car, because Bob Morris and John Fitzpatrick are going very well.
Yeah, well, they're looking very good there. Garry Rogers in front at the moment, and our car's picking him up about 2 seconds a lap. So we figure that Bobby's car will be in front about 3 or 4 laps.
Now, I think that you might be slightly superstitious, Bob, because I noticed that all the crew are wearing green hats. But notice what Bob Jane is wearing.
Oh, no, well, that's a coincidence. But, you know, we need everything going for us, Evan. A bit of superstition, a bit of good luck, and a lot of preparation.
Just had news from the pit area, Mike, that Brock will now be listed as a co-driver for car 25, so 05 is out of business.
Although he's not driving 25, because Johnny Harvey has come into contact with a car and is attempting to climb from the car. The car...
The other car's going to lose his door if he doesn't shut it in a hurry.
Harvey is anything but happy about this arrangement. The other driver comes across the road. We'll see... Dearie me, what wretched luck there. Harvey tells it all by throwing his gloves on the ground. The other driver involved comes up and throws his gloves on the ground.
The Army Reserve, Jansen goes through.
There we can see it. With the other car, the first time we've had a really clear view of who else is there. Car 51 is the Chickadee Chicken car of Graham Bailey, the ex-Peter Williamson Toyota Celica, been a consistent performer this year, and it's Graham Bailey's car that's been involved in that incident with Johnny Harvey. Well, he's a very experienced driver. I don't know what happened there, whether there was a third car to cause them both some sort of strike, which is not beyond possibility.
Bobby Morris has got all the facts and figures together the way they were in 76 when he won the race. It's his birthday again today, and that's what it was in 76.
Keep your eye at some stage in the future on car 9. That's Kev Bartlett. I was talking to him just a few minutes ago before he went out onto the track. He said, I can't win the race, but I can break the lap record. And Kevin Bartlett, the man who was the first in a single-seater to do a lap here at 100 miles an hour, has that target firmly in his sights after the disappointments earlier today. So watch KB in 9. Back to you, Mike Raymond.
Track's blocked. Yes, I think Fitz was probably in that car. Was it Fitz or Bob Morris?
Bob Morris.
Bob, was it?
Yes, Bob had taken over and was making up ground. He was in second place.
Well, they're moving cars around now, and I suppose it gives the driver a time to reflect and think, why am I involved in this sport? There are the good times and there are the sad times. We're looking at one of the sad machines. It's the Camaro of Kevin Bartlett's going back down the mountain.
And the regulations say that after 60% of the distance has been covered and the red flag is used, the race must be declared. We cannot have a restart.
Well, that means that Dick Johnson is the winner under those conditions?
Yes, he has won.
Well, it's been a day of jubilee as far as jubilation, I should say, as far as Dick Johnson is concerned. But one team manager who thought they were in there with a big shot for 6th place was Frank Gardner, the manager of the JPS team, and he's trackside at the moment with Garry Wilkinson.
Well, Frank, you've been involved in some very dicey motor racing situations in your career, but that this afternoon was absolutely frightening.
Yes, Gary, it's the only third time in my career in 30 years that I've ever seen a motor race actually stopped, and a pretty wise decision because the track wouldn't have been much good after it, and it just would have led to more trouble. And you cut your losses at this stage, hard as it may be on the spectators, and one can only commiserate with the people that were involved in it, because it's really nobody's fault in a thing like that. It just gets out of hand so quickly, and it can happen on the first lap or the 10th lap or the last lap. It's always on.
In those situations, it really is just a fraction of a second between drivers escaping without serious injury, as most of the drivers appear to have done, except perhaps Kevin, who may have some trouble with a hip. There's only a fraction of a second between that and something completely disastrous.
Well, fortunately, the part of the circuit that it happens on is a critical part of the circuit, but it's not such a high-speed part of the circuit. Any accident down the back straight at 160 mile an hour is a fatal one, but of course there, it usually adds up to car damage and body damage. Everybody appreciates the fact it is a dangerous section. There's no two ways about that, and it's driven on the limit. But on the limit is not such a speed that it's going to create a tragedy except on vehicles.
OK, Frank, well, thanks very much for joining us. Frank Gardner, a man who knows the dangers of motor racing and knows that the wise decision was made, and was one of the people that was happy to see the race had been halted and a result declared. Now, I also have Fred Gibson here with me at the moment, so I might have a quick word with him while we have the opportunity, because Fred, Christine was involved in that altercation, and when you got the news, I mean, you really must have, your hair must have stood on end.
Yes, Gary, it was a pretty nasty sort of move, I suppose, but the thing is, when you build a race car these days, you build them very strong. Had a good roll cage in it, so I was quite sort of, happy in my own mind that nothing was going to be wrong with it, really. So, but it was a nasty accident, really. One that's really stopped the race the first time, hasn't it?
Now, where is Christine at the moment?
She's up laying down. She's quite all right. She's got a bit of a sore chest. Nothing serious at all. Had a doctor look at her. She's okay.
Has she been able to give you some coherent account of what occurred?
Oh, well, I think we can say that her and Bobby Morris had a bit of a coming together. And she, like Bob's given her a touch in the tail, and she's gone around, had a lose. I think that's when the camera catches it then, happening from then on, sort of thing, and Bob's gone into the front of her and around the side of her and brought the whole field down. Just an unfortunate incident, really, I think.
well, I think Christine and all the other drivers involved have been very lucky under the circumstances.
Yes, I think so. Being such a big accident and such a high speed you're doing there, Gary, so you'll be doing 120 mile an hour, I suppose. There, you're flat in third gear in a Falcon, which is fairly quick in a big car. And when something like that happens, and so you're in half a spin or something, or a loser we call it, you can't do much about it but hang on and hope for the best.
Well, Christine's one of our favourite motor racing ladies, and we're just thankful that she's okay.
It's really Superstitionville today.